Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey, local business hackers. I'm your host, Director of Global Business Development for Referrizer, joined today by the Chief Innovation Officer of Arrichion, Nora Reynolds. Nora, welcome to Local Business Hacks.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Nora, talk to me a little bit about the journey that's brought you to this point. I know you've spent a lot of time in education. Give us some background to you.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk to you today from where Arrichion started, which happens to be our garage. And, you know, a lot of famous American companies start in a garage, and ours did too. And it's actually a wrestling room. So Arrichion started as a wrestling club and moved into hot yoga and circuit training. I am the mother of the brood that does this. And my husband and my 3 children are all athletes and coaches. So get the kind of flavor. And I did come from higher education. I spent 40 years, longer than you've been around, working on program development, working across the university in online learning once online became a thing. But prior to that, developing programs with academics and service programs for the community.
Amazing. And talk to me about Arrichion. How can people get involved? What are you guys up to?
Well, Arrichion, our hot yoga and circuit studios are located in North Carolina and Utah. But what I want to talk to you about today, and we do have a franchise model and we're refining that a little bit right now post-COVID. But what I want to talk to you today is about a program that we call Strength Through Focus University, hence the STFU behind me. And I'll give you a little idea of where that came from in a minute. But Strength Through Focus University actually is a program that designs world-class online certification programs that can be licensed by studio owners to increase revenue and profit rapidly. And so it's an offshoot, a part of Arrichion, and that's something we're just launching now for studios as every studio, every business needs multiple revenue streams.
So you're enabling studios to offer teacher training to any of their students or to their facilitators, I guess.
Both. What we're providing is a complete turnkey online program that has been refined over the years. We've been in online for 7-8 years now, much before COVID, and we've refined that process. Here's the thing. Most teacher training programs, studio owners are really, really good at what they do. They're very good at helping clients get fitter and presenting their craft. Teacher training certifications and training certifications across the board have a mixed, how shall I say this? They're mixed in the level of what they accomplish with regard to training teachers, pushing out someone who actually is trained to teach. And our position is that if you say it's a training certification and you're certifying someone to teach or train individuals, you ought to do that above everything else. You ought to be able to, and teaching's a skill. So what our program does is it brings together a combination of how athletes or any expert performs, deliberate practice, my experience in developing programs, and our experience as studio owners, and would create these online certifications that then a studio can license. They're turnkey, we white label them.
Amazing. And the best way for people to get involved is Arrichion.com?
Well, actually, that'll let me segue to Strength Through Focus University. So we actually trademarked the term Strength Through Focus when we were doing wrestling. And as we were doing our programs in our studios, our yoga and circuit training studios, we decided to run a series called Strength Through Focus series. And in that, we were going and diving in deeper and letting people take an online program to get better at a particular segment of whether it's techniques for yoga or circuit training, lifting techniques. And one of our clients said, oh my gosh, you need to call that Strength Through Focus University, STFU, and say STFU and get moving. And hence it caught on. And so we have branded that out. Now, you can get hold of us through Arrichion.com, but the way to best get hold of me about this licensing program is to go to www.strengththroughfocus.com.
Amazing. STFU. What a great four-letter phrase. It's awesome.
True. It gets attention. It'll get your attention quick, and then we can talk about the nuts and bolts.
Nora, talk to me about your journey from transitioning from education into now health, wellness, and fitness.
Okay. Well, it's really been a lifelong transition. So I initially started out many years ago as a spouse following a wrestling coach going from one college to another. And every time I would do that, of course, I wanted my career to advance, and I would take any job that I could get. So I started out, I worked in a learning center working with athletes who were struggling in university courses. And then I moved into continuing education and started working in programming. And beyond that, I moved into as the executive director of University of North Carolina, Greensboro's what now would be the online segment of that university. I have always been interested in a couple of things. One is how people learn. So my background, my academic background's in how people learn and learning. And so I've always been really intrigued by that. And I've had a tremendous opportunity across my career because of the diversity of things I've been able to do and people let me do and teach me to actually really honed in on that. And at the same time I was doing that, learning, how can I work that so that kid who's struggling, maybe doesn't have as solid an academic high school background as they need, how can I help them get through college while they're under the strains and the work of being in a full-time sport as well? How can I make that happen? And so I started to get creative a little bit about trying things. Saying, what can I do? So you can't make them do everything. They can't learn everything. You can't bring them up to speed on everything. But what can you do to help them be successful in what we're trying to do? So I moved from there. And at the same time, here I have my family. I have my husband who's coaching, and I've been watching that. I've sat in more wrestling hours than you've been alive, and clinics and whatever, and watched practices. And he's an incredible coach. And then my kids were coming up through. My sons did wrestling, my daughter soccer, and I watched how practices worked, what worked and what didn't, how people broke things down. I started to look very, very down the rabbit hole, you might say, at the theories behind it. What is the theory? And so when you look at that, you see Anders Ericsson, who was at Florida State, he recently passed away, but he came up with a theory called deliberate practice. And what they've been able to show is that regardless of the skill you want to accomplish, this is the process that people go through, and they looked at it. Now, Malcolm Gladwell did a popular book about this a few years ago. So I looked at that. I looked at other kinds of learning theories, and then I meshed it into how do you work online. So all of those things, the look at the athletic, but it's the same for music. If you want to be a musician, it's the same for if you want to be a mathematician. I looked at what is the load level? Where do you push someone? They can't be pushed too far beyond their comfort zone and their ability. And you can't leave them at something that's too easy. So how do you find that middle ground? And then how do you put it together? And can it be done online? So in the course of my work at the university, I've had a lot of really great mentors and people that gave me a lot of opportunity, a lot of leeway to try things. So at university, when online was first coming out, I said, you know what? Microeconomics, it's a course everybody takes, practically all business major, and it's a gen ed that a lot of people like to take. So I worked with a faculty member to develop a course online that was game-like. Now, I will tell you, it would not be sold on the open market. However, we were able to work backward and see how that could be crafted so students would get a better sense, the general population, about what microeconomics were. And that actually won an award many, many years ago for that innovation. And then I worked with faculty in a whole lot of other areas. And what I found was the best, the smartest, the best faculty who are just rock star teachers. At the same time, they're such great scholars, were the most eager and willing to try new things. They had the confidence. And so we put together teams and we built some phenomenal, very interactive courses. Like I said, they gave me a lot of leeway in my division. We built up money in one place and we developed a whole agency level team. We had writers and graphic designers and videographers and editors. And we put together with faculty these really incredible courses that students could learn. And at the same time, those courses would be taught by many different people in the university. The same course. Faculty are very proud of their accomplishments. And I love them, trust me, but they have an ego. And every faculty member says, oh, I can't do that, or I don't want to teach something because it's I have proprietary approach to it. And what we found was that it really wasn't the truth. That most of them were using the same basic model. They used textbooks, somebody else wrote them. And so as I segued into working with my family at the same time I was working on this, I was looking at how could we take that teacher training, they're really good, they're coaches, they know how to bring somebody up levels in skill. How can we move that online? And that's basically where it transitioned. In the middle of that, I was also a principal partner in an educational gaming company while I was doing these other things, which also forced me to look at a lot of different angles from the online perspective. I've seen a lot of not good stuff, and I've seen a lot of things that work. So,
and now we have Strength Through Focus University.
We do.
That's TFU. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's TFU. Let's get after it.
Nora, thank you for all of this background. I'd love to transition into being local business hacks. So I'd love for you to share some of your best stories that put the tools in your toolkit.
Okay. All right. Let me talk about this from a teacher training perspective, yoga. So we were first launching out our training. And when I talk about online training, I mean, not self-paced. I've never seen a great expert come out of a self-paced program in my life. You have to have the structure and you have to practice. That's the biggest thing. And how do you demonstrate that online? And so you know that coaches and sports teams video their practices, they video the individuals, they video the games, and they analyze those, and then they go back. So I said, why we can do that in teaching skill in yoga. So we first rolled out the teacher training online, like I said, 7-8 years ago. And we got a person who signed up. I don't know how she found us, a Google search. And she was in Chicago. And so she signed up for teacher training, yoga. I don't think she ever had taken a yoga class. And so when she first came, we have a hybrid program, 100% online, but every week we have a session in Zoom like this where we practice. It's not a lecture session. And so she got on, this young woman, no yoga mat, thought you practice yoga in your shoes, had no clue. And I'm like, if we can help her through 7 weeks, get out the door and be able to teach a yoga class, we can know if our program works. And lo and behold, this young woman was so determined. Yes, we gave her extra sessions, one-on-ones, because you know what? That's what coaches do. Coaches also have a lot of ego. But the ego of a great coach is this. They're not trying to tell you how great they are and everything they know. And the same goes with faculty. They're trying to see how great they can make you.
Yeah.
And so we worked hard, and lo and behold, she came out the other side. She went to work on a cruise ship. She started her own business. She did work which she initially wanted to do in her community at centers for underprivileged kids. And what a story. So this process, what I was looking at the same time, I was cheering her on, and the coaches were really, we're good enough. We can help her. I was looking to see what do we have to do to tweak the program to make it better and get that kind of result. So what did we do? I made some serious mistakes in the beginning. I should know better. I said, okay, let's set this up. It's structured. The modules work the same way. It's not topics based. And I can get to that in a minute as well. But I made a very big mistake. It was simple. I said, all the assignments will be due at the end of the week. Oh my goodness, what a disaster. Corrected that like within week 2. Because here's what happened. And this is how self-paced, and this is what happens. They wait, the students, they all are very anxious to do things, but they wait till the end of the time. And I don't know if you were like this in college, but I can remember some of these days where you, oh my goodness, I have a paper due tomorrow and I haven't started it.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were seeing that. So I said, how can I help make that? Nora, what were you thinking? You know better. So we divided into 3 assignment due dates a week. They get feedback on every one of those. But the feedback and the first assignment due on Saturday gets feedback that informs Sunday, that informs the assignments due on Tuesday, that informs assignments due on Thursday. And it's very simple. Should have known it. There you go. True confessions. I made that error.
Accountability.
Yes. And accountability in coaching is the most critical thing.
Oh, yeah.
So what I see, Carl, is that most people designing certification programs will stay specific to that, but it's in any program almost. What they do is they think that more content is better. And that is absolutely false. They think more content's better, that if you have a list of topics like Yoga Alliance is the yoga, I wouldn't call it an accrediting body, but kind of like that, they put a stamp on. And so they're the coin of the realm. And they would give a list of topics. And so what happens is most people designing programs take that list of topics and they do anatomy one week and they do philosophy one week and we have an integrated program because you don't need all that stuff. You need it applied. So like I said, teaching is a skill, and it doesn't matter if you're a personal trainer, if you're teaching bar, if you're teaching yoga, if you're teaching Pilates, it is a skill, and you have to get the basics learned first. So less is more. That's a very important point. And I think it's a big mistake that curriculum developers and studios that are trying to create their own curriculum fall into. Again, the other is not having a structured enough, deliberately designed program that goes from simple to more complex and builds across the weeks. And as I look at studios and I look at certification programs, and Lord knows I've looked at a lot of them, I've given my email and they give me their access to look at their curriculum, and they have me now as a lead. But what I see is the same problem every time. Too much content, not consistent practice, not enough stretched out too far. So a very focused, concentrated time. So what our program, STF Use, does is it provides the framework and the course all done. You don't have to worry about delivering the content. It is fundamentally sound. Trust me, I believe that you have to do the fundamentals correctly and the foundation. I don't know very many people, they would be phenoms if they could come out of a teacher training program or any kind of first levels and be an expert when they come out. It just doesn't happen. You cannot expect that you're going to you do your personal training certification or your yoga certification, and you do, a course, and you get a piece of paper, and you come out and you say, oh, now I can correct all the problems of the world. It sounds like when I was an undergraduate and people took psych courses and thought they could analyze everyone. It doesn't work that way. And you might make that mistake, but you quickly get put in your place at some point that says, holy cow, you don't know what you're talking about. So we take that part off the studio, and we take the technology off. We're hosting the courses. We will white label it. We'll put your logo on it. We'll put your face in as the teacher. We'll train you to coach. We'll train you to keep your students accountable. And you know what? You can do it on your time, but you have to give the feedback so that it informs the learning and keep the student moving toward the end goal. So that is where we're experts. I'm the expert. I bring that in. We've polished that. Now studios need to earn extra revenue. They need profitable programs that can bring in high ticket programs, frankly, that bring in significant profit margins. So we've structured this to make it very easy for a studio. An annual licensing fee for a course, and then it doesn't matter. You can scale up and down. A per student enrollment registration fee from our end. You can price it what you want to. You're going to know that you have to pay us X number of dollars to put every student in. Each student costs you this much, and you can figure out how you're going to do it. The other thing is that a studio, we give them guidance, we give them swipe files, marketing and sales, but we also give them a suggestion, and that is pay your trained teachers or yourself by the student. Don't pay a flat fee. And what happens then is a studio can say, I need instructors in my studio, which is a major problem for a lot of studios right now. Good quality instructors. They hire people that have been certified at other places or whatever, and they're just really disappointed. So you can spend all your time as a studio owner focused on the people in your class that have signed up for the certification program, and you're the coach. You're the face of it. We never remember the textbook. We always remember the teacher, the coach. And we especially remember ones that help us to get better. Little story. I was in college many years ago, like eons, it's before you can even think, dinosaur time. And I was a very introverted, shy student. And I took a history course from a pretty prominent faculty member. I went to a small school, and it was a small group, so that makes it even tougher, right? And I took a history course, and Joe Ellis was the instructor. I still have physical anxiety when I think about this. At the end of and this is 50 years ago, at the end of one of the classes, we had turned in a paper. He said, Nora, would you stay after class? I thought I would die. I stay after class, and he's like, Nora, I just got to ask you, have you ever taken a history course before or written a paper in history? And I'm like, yeah, I had from another faculty member. And he said, well, I have some concerns about the way you wrote this and about your writing. So I still feel the anxiety. He's the best faculty, one of the best faculty members I ever had. And I took several courses after. He said, and I gave him some more, and he said, go back and redo that. And he gave me incredible feedback, and I got on track. But I remember to this day, he pushed me. I was stressed out of my mind, but he taught me so much. And so that's what these studio owners are good at. You're good at bringing that person up. You don't have to be everything. There's certain things you can use somebody else's designed stuff and actually make the impact. So what I say is I don't remember any of the books. I don't remember anything else, but I do remember Joe Ellis, who has some phenomenal books on the market, that people read. I remember him taking the time, first of all, to care, calling me out, coaching me, and getting me better. And that is exactly what the trainees in these programs will come away with. But it is a skill. Teaching's a skill. And if you don't practice a skill, and I mean, you cannot learn to ride a bike by watching someone ride a bike, by reading about someone riding a bike. You have to get on the bike. You have to fall off the bike. You have to skin your knees. You have to get back on the bike, and you have to keep practicing. And you can't pick it up one time and fall off it and don't come back for a year or 6 months or a month and think you're going to be better. So practice is the key.
It's amazing. I love that you guys also don't just throw somebody right into the fire, and that it's a ramp up program to really aid them in this journey. So congrats to you thus far. And we're excited to see where this goes. Nora, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your favorite books that you recommend to any entrepreneur in their journey?
You're going to be maybe surprised by this.
Love that.
Picture books. I am a fan of picture books, and I give picture books to adults all of the time, also to children. So if you look at books like Where the Wild Things Are, it's a classic, right? You can learn about resilience, creativity, and all sorts of things through the lens of that little kid's book. There's a book called What Do You Do with a Chance? It's a more recent book, and it just works you through that. I give that book out. The book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Now, it's more popular now because he won an Oscar for a short, right? Film, best short animated. But before that happened, it's a journalist in Great Britain and an artist. And I was giving that book to tons of people about and adults. So I like to give picture books, and from the classics to brand new, and I'm constantly looking for new ones. For example, my husband used to say when new kids would come in and somebody would say, how's so-and-so? And he'd say, they're a two-legged marshmallow. But it was a kind thing. And two-legged marshmallows can become really strong wrestlers. But it's a process, and most people overlook them. They're a two-legged marshmallow. There's a book called Most Marshmallows. It's amazing. I found it, and I give it to people because it says most marshmallows just sit there, but some marshmallows, they have dreams. And so I like picture books.
It's amazing. That's definitely unique, and I love that you share that with us. Nora, before we wrap up, love to hear from you my favorite question, or the answer to my favorite question, which is, if you could have dinner with a historical figure from the past, who would it be? What are you talking about? And what are you eating?
I know exactly who it would be. Maria Montessori.
Wow.
She is a hero for me.
Yeah.
And I don't care. We'd have nice, good Italian wine. And I don't care what we eat, because I would be so awestruck by Maria Montessori, who took what we're trying to do online now and created a system that has lasted 100 years and has impacted the lives of so many people, including many of these big tech startup guys that were Montessori kids. So my kids were Montessori kids, my granddaughters, and my grandson will be a Montessori kid. And I would have dinner, brunch, lunch, snack with Maria Montessori.
That's incredible. Nora, thank you again for coming on to Local Business Hacks, sharing your story, for creating what you're creating, and congrats to Arrichion and STFU, baby. It's
STFU. Awesome. Get moving.
Nora, what's the best way for people to stay connected with you?
My email is nora@arrichion.com, ARRICHION.com. But easier to remember, probably for people, would be www.strengththroughfocus, spelled out all the way, .com. And from there, you can sign up a call, and I would love to talk to anybody. I'm very excited about what we're working on and excited to see what studios can do.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nora. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.